Choosing the right beginner guitar can be the difference between unlocking the dormant guitar hero inside of you, or adding a rather bulky, decorative reminder to the ever-increasing dust pile of unrealized dreams and unexplored potential. So yeah, no pressure or anything, but it's actually pretty important. With that in mind, in this video, we're going to take a look at Thomann's best-selling entry-level steel string acoustic guitar, the Harley Benton D120 CE-BK. Could a guitar this cheap possibly be any good? Let's find out. Oh, by the way, while this video is in no way sponsored, I've included a link to an air purifier in the description below, because it's time to get rid of that dust. Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Guitar with Bob, the home of all things related to guitar here on YouTube. From chord theory and picking techniques to string gauge and musicology, you'll find it here. So sit tight, grab yourself a guitar and let's play. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing, because look, I can't tell you how I know this, but it's your one true destiny that you've more than fortuitously stumbled upon this channel. Videos in your feed, they come and go, but this time is different. Much more than the eye-catching thumbnail, beyond the ever-alluring clickbaitish title that promises too much and is sure to underwhelm. But you knew that anyway, didn't you? There exists an emerging paradigm of content that transcends all of YouTube. Oh yeah, I got a bit carried away there. Let's just call it modest hyperbole, shall we? So yeah, moving on. This right here is the box of the Harley Benton D120 CE-BK. A seriously catchy name, eh? The D in the D120 most likely refers to the design of the guitar. D standing for dreadnought, which is a particular body shape popularized by the world-renowned manufacturer, the Martin Guitar Company, in the early 20th century. You may have heard of them. It's a little bit ironic in this case, however, that the number is so high, well, at least according to Martin's system, because the higher the number, the more elaborate and decorative the ornamentation of the guitar. Take a look at Martin's D200, for example. This guitar is just shy of 120,000 US dollars. I must add that to my Amazon wish list, actually. Yeah, right. Back to the Harley Benton. I suppose Thomann were paying homage to what many would consider to be the apex of the modern steel string acoustic guitar. But is it off to an overly ambitious start? Let's unbox and find out. Oh, and to those of you with mildly OCD inclinations who need to know the meaning of the last 4 letters in the rather elaborate name of this guitar, I promise I will come back to it. But first things first. Because I appreciate the very real, though paradoxically not real at all, joy that is the unboxing experience, I've put together the following to crank up the level of vicarious entertainment. I've painstakingly detailed the angles, perfected the B-roll, timed the background music to a T. You're gonna love it. Bob, sorry to interject, I'm the editor, aka you a little later on. I'm gonna make an executive decision here, save us both one massive headache, and veto the elaborately planned Peter McKinnon-esque unboxing montage. Forget about that, bro. You're from the future. You're me in the future. What happens? Well, you eventually finish the video. In exactly 2 years from today, you'll have 1 million subscribers, and Gibson builds you a custom signature guitar model, which you name the Bob. What, really? No, not really. But you do finish the video. Suppose we better get to it. See you later. Yeah, see you later, Bob. Alright guys, you know the story. No fancy tricks. Except maybe Hey, once more. Getting good at this. Where'd it go? Oh, hey. How did it end up over there? I've been playing around with this guitar for a few days now, and I'm starting to see why it's one of Thomann's best-selling beginner models. There's clearly been a lot of talk into this guitar, and it shows. First of all, it's a cutaway. If you look at the shape, you can see that it literally cuts away from the body, hence the name. This gives your hand more room, allowing you to play more comfortably higher up the neck. This is probably what the letter C refers to in the name of this guitar, but I could be wrong, and I often am, I have to admit. Next, on the side of the guitar here, you can see the pickup system, which means it's an electro-acoustic. So you can plug this into a PA and play live, or into an audio interface for home recording. There are pretty standard knobs for volume, bass, middle, treble, presence, and a battery check, which is quite nice. It requires a 9-volt battery to operate, but you know what? Not to worry, because it comes included. If you've gotten this far, you may have already guessed it by now, but I reckon the E in the name of this bad boy stands for electro-acoustic. And BK, well, because it's black. Now I think it's time to play around a little bit and give you guys a feel for how it sounds. There you have it. All in all, it's pretty hard not to be impressed by this guitar. They've even gone so far as to include 2 pickguards, which are plastic stickers normally placed just below the sound hole here to protect the body of the guitar. This surprised me a little, especially considering that when I reviewed their flamenco style guitar, the Thomann Classica Flamenco 1F, I'll put a link to this review at the end of the video in case you missed it. I couldn't help but notice the lack of a pickguard, even though the right hand flamenco technique is traditionally much tougher on the body of the instrument. So honestly, not sure of Thomann's logic here. Nevertheless, it's pretty nice we get to choose when it comes to this guitar. You'll also find a small plastic case with an Allen wrench that looks just like this. This is a simple tool that acts as a truss rod adjuster. The truss rod is a metal bar that runs through the neck of the guitar. If we tighten the truss rod by moving it to the right or towards the ground if you're holding the guitar in this position, the fretboard moves closer to the strings. On the other hand, if you loosen the truss rod by moving it to the left or away from the ground, again in this position, the neck moves away from the strings, creating higher action. It's a relatively simple way to stabilize the curvature of the neck. But if this all sounds a little bit daunting or technically confusing, I wouldn't worry about it. There are more important things to focus on when you're starting out. But if you're feeling adventurous and you want to try it out, you'll find the corresponding socket inside the sound hole right here. Just be sure to take your time with the adjustments, move in small increments, don't go crazy, and you should be fine. For the sake of a more objective review, if I had to nitpick, personally I've never been a fan of the cutaway. I prefer a full body tone, and assuming you're new to the guitar, this part of the neck here will most likely not really be used anyway. So unless you're more of an intermediate player or think you'll need to play above the 12th fret for some reason, the shape will be more aesthetic than practical. It doesn't matter a huge amount, but this guitar is also available as a non-cutaway without the pickup, so that's maybe worth considering too. You'll find all the links in the description below, beside the air conditioner as I mentioned in the intro, of course. Just when you thought Thomann had thought of everything, it also comes in a natural high gloss finish, a mysteriously enticing translucent blue, a beautifully rustic vintage sunburst. Have I added enough superfluous adjectives? And even a 12-string model. That's a lot. Look, I don't want to give Thomann too much credit. Basically, it's what I'd call a chord guitar. In other words, it will suit you if you're playing chords or doing simple finger picking. The sound isn't too bad when you're soloing with palm muted strings, mind you, but throw in a bend or some heavy vibrato and you start to see the limitations of this guitar. But then again, you have to remember this instrument is remarkably cheap. At the time of filming, it's around €79, $79 US or £58. Depending on your location, you might want to check prices for shipping, but I've had this one sent pretty much halfway around the world and it was very reasonable. What's more, this guitar has quite clearly been designed with beginners in mind. So to criticize from a more advanced player's perspective is, let's face it, pretty pointless. Okay, I suppose you could also argue it doesn't come with a gig bag, a tuner or a set of picks, or a new change of strings, especially given the strings in this guitar have a sort of radioactive yellow-greenish hue to them for some weird reason. But you've got to give it to Thomann at the same time. The details are impressive. It's a versatile guitar with a solid build, a beautiful glass finish. If you look closely enough, it even has faux pearl lining around the sound hole here and the lettering on the headstock, which, alright, it doesn't have quite the same shimmer as real pearl inlays, but it does look good nevertheless. And for this price point, I honestly don't think you could expect any better. That leads me to question of the day. What do you like or not like about this guitar? Which model catches your eye the most? And finally, which would you go for, cutaway or non-cutaway? Post your responses in the comment section below. I'd really love to hear from you. If you're still between two minds about the Harley Benton, I'd recommend checking out the suggestions at the end of this video. I've been on a bit of a mission lately, reviewing some of the most affordable and best-selling guitars out there from my students. So be sure to take full advantage, as it may just help you find the perfect guitar for you. Before jumping the gun, however, what are my final thoughts? Choosing the right guitar isn't easy, and I get that. For a long time, I remember being pretty intimidated by guitar stores. In fact, I still don't really like visiting them that much. I love seeing all the guitars, don't get me wrong. It's just, there's always so much tension. Sidestepping that terrible joke, I do genuinely think it can be daunting buying your first guitar. And it's not really an exaggeration in my view to say that guitars like this one are game changers. It may sound cheesy and maybe I'm risking it all by sounding trite and cliched, but when I look at this, I don't see a beginner guitar. I see a beginning. You've been watching Guitar with Bob, but now guys, it's playtime. See you in the next one.